Hi, I'm Savannah, and this is my story. I was born and raised in a Christian household with a strong family. And I would say I officially became a Christian when I was about 4. My parents taught me from a very young age what sin was and my need for a Savior. And so when I was about 4 or 5, I went to my mom and I was like, hey, I think I want to be a Christian now. And so I got baptized soon after that. So growing up, I considered myself a Christian. I called myself a Christian, but I would say the moment when I actually truly committed my life to God was when I was about 12 after camp. While beforehand I did call myself a Christian, I considered myself a Christian, it wasn't until that point that my life really got redirected and I started living for God more so, like I really meant it. So my story might be a little different from some of the others that you've heard because, I haven't ever really experienced a catastrophe. I haven't, lost a family member or whatever. So you may be wondering why I'm sharing. There are a couple main reasons. The first, while I can't relate to the people, whose parents have split up or whatever, because that just hasn't happened to me, while I can't relate to people on that level, I'm a different kind of relatable. There are so many people who, they come from strong families, they've had, a relatively good life, and they're afraid to share their stories because they feel like it's not worth it or it won't matter. But everybody has something that is worth sharing. But if you're never willing to share, you'll never have the privilege of touching somebody with your experience. So if you're one of those people, don't be afraid to share just because you feel like you don't have a story that's worth it. Just because someone is a Christian, that doesn't mean that everything is smooth sailing. There have been 2 major events in my life that have been big stepping stones in my walk with Christ. The first was about 2011. My dad, who had been in the active duty Air Force for most of my life, reached a point with his career as an Air Force officer where he felt that he had to choose between his family and his career. He felt that he couldn't be the dad and husband that he felt called to be while also continuing to deploy and move all the time. So after a lot of prayer and consideration, he chose to leave the active duty and turned in his separation papers or resignation papers without having another job already lined up. I was maybe 10 at the time, so I didn't really understand what all was going on. All I knew is that my life had suddenly changed a lot, and my parents were stressed out all the time. There was one night where my family came to a place where we all completely trusted God with the situation rather than still trying to find comfort in material things. We were able to give everything, the whole situation, up to God, and we were content. We trusted that He would take care of us and provide for us what we needed. And the day after we reached this point, my dad got a job that not only would allow him to not have to move everywhere and deploy all the time, but it also allowed us to stay where we were, stay here, and not have to start over again somewhere else. The next major faith exercise for me was about a little over a year ago. My family made the decision to leave our church. For a number of reasons, this was really a stressful time for me. My circle of friends was completely reconstructed, and a lot of things were happening that were really difficult for me. And because of this, I would definitely say that I fell into a depression. I didn't see it at the time. I just thought that, bad things were happening and that was life. But having gotten through it, I can definitely see, looking back, that that's what happened. Around this time, I started taking karate, and through karate, I met 4 people, Hannah, Thomas, Robin, and Rooster, who came to Alice Drive. And after learning some about our situation, they invited me every week to come to the mix or come to a life group and just come try out Alice Drive. And after this happened for several months, my family decided to give it a try. So the first time that we came here there was a movie night for the youth group. And we came up earlier that afternoon to talk with Dell about some of the stuff going on. He told us about the youth group and about the church and their mission and the kind of stuff that happened. He told us about the people. And after we left, my mom looked at us and said, "So what do you think? Do you want to come tonight?" And I said, if everything he was saying about this youth group is true, I think it will be awesome, and I definitely want to give it a try. So that night we came to the mix for the movie night, and a few people that we already knew, they knew our name and they would use it. There were people we had met earlier that day would just come talk to us and made us feel welcome. I walked in, not sure what was going to happen, and instantly felt at home and welcomed. So through all of this, I got to the point where I was learning to trust God more. I'm still learning this. It's a really difficult lesson to learn, but I've been learning over the years to let go and to give God more of my life. I've learned that the more I'm willing to give up to Him, the more He will give back. The more I trust Him with, the more happiness and peace I have with easy stuff and the difficult situations. There's still difficult stuff that happens, that will happen, but every time that happens now, I'm able to stop and think back to examples when God took care of me before and say, if I just trust God with this, He'll get me through it. God is in control of everything, no matter what happens. If I trust God with my life, He will take care of me. And that's my story.